Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Night Live with me, Jonny Lipsham, here at jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk in Scotland. I hope everybody is doing well and has had a good weekend. Been a good one here. Been very, very busy, but been a good one nonetheless. We've only got like 9 or 10 people here. Hopefully, we'll get more as the time goes on. But welcome, everybody. So tonight, we're back to Studio One questions like we normally have every week. There was a whole bunch of new sound sets delivered this week, which was awesome. There's some nice rock and pop stuff, which is what people have been asking for quite a while. Because most of the content that you've got with Studio One Plus has been EDM, trap, hip hop, dance or film stuff. Like there's some nice there is actually a very nice set of film Scottish sound sets that you can get as well, but there's some nice new drum loops and drum samples, and there's some guitar stuff as well. So if you are after some metal or some rock guitars or some pop guitars, there's a whole bunch of those. Normally, we only deliver like one new sound set every month, but this month we decided to give you a whole bunch. So there's like 7 sound sets. Some of them are pretty big. One of them I think is about 10 gigs, and that's one of the drum ones. I think the other drum one is like 6 or 7 gigs, and then the other ones, the guitar ones, are a wee bit smaller. But they are all pretty good. I got the guitar ones today. I didn't get the drum ones because I don't really need those personally, but I will be getting those and doing a wee video on those this week, so they are pretty good. There's plenty for you to get your teeth into, I should say. So Kevin's saying, what's the correct way to install the sound sets? There are 2 ways. One, from inside Studio One installation menu. We now have in Studio One 6 we have the smart installer. It's very, very easy to do. You just got to make sure that you have the install destination set appropriately. I've actually done this wrong today because I forgot to change my destination, because I had my destination set to something else, because I needed to install something else somewhere else. So I forgot to change it and I had to download them again. But it's all good. It's dead easy to do. I will show you how to do this in just a wee moment. Yes, Tony is saying Scotland is the capital of the universe. Yes, I forgot to say that, didn't I? I kind of just said Scotland and didn't really do all the rest of it. Capital of Scotland is the capital of Britain, is the capital of Europe, is the capital of the world, is the capital of the solar system, is the capital of the galaxy, is the capital of the universe. There we go. I got it. All right, let's quickly see who is here. I think Billy was first in, because Billy is pretty much always first in the door. But that's cool. And we got Ron Figura, we got Paul Morgan, not related to Billy, and we got Kevin from Kevin's Guitar Stories, and we got John Hawk, we got Alps Media LLC, who sponsors Sunday Night Live and Songwriting Simplified, which is awfully generous of him, and it's fantastic. I love having that partnership. Louis is fantastic. He's a great guy. So if you are in the United States and you want to buy Presonus gear, go to Alps Media LLC and buy from there, because Louis will get you the best deal he can possibly get you. We got Rich Cresswell, we've got Cal Traducia, we've got Bill Shepherd, we have got Daryl Harrison. Hello, mate. Good to see you. And we've got Don Oliver, we've got Tony, we've got Bobby Booth, my oldest, and I don't mean this in terms of age, but my oldest subscriber. He has been around since pretty much the beginning. And we've got Roy Nicolason. Hello, Roy. Good to see you, mate. Welcome to the show. Glad you're here. We've got Bob McGraw as well. And I think that's it. So far, if you're watching and you are new to my channel and you're just checking me out for the first time, welcome. Glad you're here. In order to get involved in the chat and ask a question, you need to be subscribed. So please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, select all notifications, and in 5 little minutes, the chat will be open to you. And because I have the chat in subscriber mode only, so you need to be a subscriber to get involved, but I would love to say hello to you in person, or as much in person as you can on this kind of thing. But also get your question as well. So I want to do that. So please do hit that subscribe button. It helps me, it helps you, and we build an awesome little community. We have just passed 5,200 subscribers, for which I am super stoked and happy, because it was not that long ago we just passed the 5,000 milestones. So it's great that we are on the way, well on the way to 6,000. So if we get to 6,000 subscribers, I will partner with either Alps Media, or I will partner with somebody else here in the UK, and we will do another giveaway, because giveaways are fun. The one that we did for passing 5,000 subscribers was great fun, and a very lucky, awesome person got a nice Audiobox Go, and I would like to do that again. So if you're up for that, help me get to 6,000 subscribers. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tennis partners, tell your neighbors, tennis partners, husbands or wives, tell your neighbors, tennis partners, husbands or wives, kids, and get them involved. All right, so we're starting to lose people, so I better move on. All right, so Kevin has the first question of the evening. And he says, what's the correct way to install the sound sets? All right, like I said, there are 2 ways to do it. And I'm going to show both of them to you, because if one fails, you can do the other one, and it should work. Okay, so the one way we're going to look at first is inside of Studio One. So let's get this going, and let's get that going. There we go. So I'm down in the bottom corner. All right, so the most simple way is from inside Studio One. And to do that, you go to Studio One installation. And then you make sure that this wee tab here that says available downloads is selected. If you're a member of Studio One Plus, check this box here. You can turn off the other ones, because you don't want to see your purchase content necessarily. But you might want to see that too, but you don't have to. And then make sure these 3 file types are selected. Next thing to do is, if you don't see install options, then click on this box at the bottom. Make sure that you have it selected download from Presonus account and install to users public documents Presonus Studio One. All right, that is on your system drive. You can install to a second drive, to another internal drive. If you have that set up for just where all your sound sets go, you can do that. If you want to set this to an external drive, I have one very, very important piece of advice. And that is to make sure that that drive is either an SSD drive, or if it's a mechanical hard drive, make sure that it has a spin speed of 7,200 RPM. If it's a 5,400 RPM, it's not going to be fast enough, and you're going to get lots of latency. You don't want that. You don't want tons of latency. All right. So, and this can be one of the reasons why you might encounter more latency than you ordinarily would. It's because you're streaming to and from a drive that's too slow. So make sure it's either 7,200 RPM or an SSD drive. All right. And you can set that if you want. It's okay. And then all you do is you go and you grab one of the files. Let's go and find one of the ones that is new. All of these are from Studio One Plus, as you can see. And there's absolutely loads here. So let's say we want to do Backbeat. This is one of the new drum ones. As you can see, it's like nearly 10 gigs. It's going to take a wee while to install. But if you check this box here, then the install option becomes available. And then you just click on this. Now, if you click on that, this little transfer wheel over here next to your avatar will start to spin, and a wee dialog box will come up showing you how much has been downloaded so far and how much is left and the speed at which it's downloading. Now, if during that process it just comes up and as failed, Okay, don't panic. It's not the end of the world. Okay, if that happens, it's not the end of the world. What you can do is you can go to your Studio One Plus account and you can download it directly from there, and then just download the installer to your downloads folder. And then, here's the smart part. Once you've downloaded the installer, drag and drop it onto the start page, and it will install to this location that you've already got set here. So make sure this is set in every eventuality, okay, to where you want it to go. And so either way works. If downloading directly from your PreSonus account inside Studio One doesn't work, go direct to your Studio One Plus account, locate the sound set, download the installer to your downloads folder, drag and drop it onto the start page, job done. It will install quickly because you've already downloaded the installer, okay? And so if one doesn't work, the other one will. And actually in technical support, they get this a lot. They get people saying, oh, I've downloaded this new sound set and it just comes up as failed. Just go to your Studio One Plus account directly and do it, because it will work if you do it that way. If it's coming up as failed that way, so basically either method is not working, then you've got a bigger problem. It might be that you're trying to do it all through a VPN. It's not going to work through a VPN. Don't use a VPN. If you've got antivirus software, the antivirus software might be blocking it, because the antivirus software doesn't necessarily, depends on the brand of antivirus software, but most of them, particularly things like McAfee and the one that begins with N that I can never remember the name of, but either of those, and there are others that it doesn't work with, they think that sound set files are dodgy for some reason. They're not, but antivirus software can be really aggressive and go, this does not look right, and it'll just block it. So if you're downloading stuff from your Studio One Plus account, temporarily just disable your antivirus software, let it do its thing, and then you can put it back on again. It could also be your firewall as well. Make sure you got your firewall to allow any downloads and uploads to and from PreSonus.com. All right, make sure that that is an exception, so that PreSonus.com always goes through your firewall. Okay, but otherwise, those should be the only issues that you encounter with downloading stuff from your Studio One Plus account. So that should answer that question. It is a good question. They do take a wee while. So here's the thing I would recommend: to maximize the data packets coming down into your computer, don't try and upload something at the same time, because data packets can end up getting dropped. And with sound sets, if one data packet gets dropped, the whole thing fails. So maximize your download speed by basically not downloading anything else. So that means if you're streaming something like YouTube, if you're watching a YouTube video, that's going to be downloading as well at the same time. So I would advise that you maybe shut everything browser-wise down, unless of course you're going through your Studio One Plus account, so that you can maximize and prioritize your Studio One content being downloaded. And that way you minimize the risk of data packets being dropped. But there you go. That is a great question, and it's a good way to kick off the show. John says the new sound packs seem great. Yeah, I think they are. I've had a wee play around with some of the guitar ones. So there you go. Let's see. Rich Cresswell says he's down for that. Yes, Rich is awesome. Rich, you and I will have a wee discussion about that. Very fun meet the other day. Learned a lot. Great to see everyone. Yeah, Bob, it was great to see you too on that Zoom call. But here's the thing. When we do a show like this, either on Sunday or Wednesday, quite often we have an after show party, either hosted by Billy Morgan or Mike Johnson. Either of those two will host it, and it's basically just a great time to just chill after the show, and we can talk further about some of the things we talked about in the show. I'm happy to do that. I usually stick around for a little while, But for me, it's very late at night here. It's already coming up on 20 past 12, so 20 past midnight. So by the time I finish the show here, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. So I don't tend to stick around very, very late, but they are well worth sticking around for. So either Billy or Mike will post a link to either of those after the show once we're done. So stick around to the end, folks, if you want to get involved in that. What else we got here? Roy says, maybe you could show an example of how you use the time stretch tape function. I could, but I'll be really honest, I don't use it. I really don't actually use it. I know that we've added some new functionality to it, but like I said, I don't really use it, to be honest. Do I have anything here that's not an instrument track? Yes, I do. I have the piano track here. So let's pull back my chair just a wee bit so I can get my keyboard out. So if you select this guy here, and if you go to the inspector, up here you've got time stretch. But you've got time stretch options. I've got this set to drums. I don't know why. It doesn't really matter, but because this is really percussive. So actually setting it to drums is a good thing, because basically when the algorithm is set to drums, if you've got really percussive piano parts like this, if I just solo this piano part, you'll see what I mean. So it's very kind of short, stabby, percussive parts. So nice, transient, heavy kind of piano playing. If I have this set to drums, it's gonna detect those transients a lot easier than if I use a different one. But you've also got sound. You've got solo, which is great for kind of solo guitars and solo vocals. Then you've got this tape resampler thing, which is cool. The cool thing about this is that you can use this and you can stretch an audio event and you can get like a tape slowdown kind of thing. So if I was to set this to tape and then I did some kind of, I'd rather do this in a new song, to be honest, because I don't want to mess this song up. So let's go and do this in a new song. And I'm going to grab an audio loop. Or I could go and grab one of these new guitar things. Why not? Let's grab one of these solo things. Let's try this one. That's more my style. So let's get that in here. And what we can do is we're going to duplicate this maybe a couple of times. There we go. And then what we'll do is we'll loop this like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm also going to get the tempo track open. And I'm going to set this guy to tape. Now notice how the pitch has changed. Did you see that? So the tempo here is 120. The tempo of the sample is 140. All right, let's compare these. So not only is that faster, but the pitch is different. That's because the tape is effectively spinning more slowly, because we're at 120. And so when you slow audio down on tape, it changes the pitch. So let's set this to 140. Should be the same now, which it is. All right. So let's say when we get to this last repeat here, we are going to drop it dramatically downward. Let's make that even more dramatic. Let's keep going. There we go. I can change this minimum to, let's say, let's change this to 70 just for a chuckle. And we'll see what happens. So it behaves exactly like real tape. It's one of the things I like the most about the new tape algorithm for Studio One 6. It's really, really cool. So if you want to do like a really dramatic slowdown, like, you know, I could make this worse. I could make this, I could set this down to, let's set that down to 40 just for a giggle. And let's drop this down all the way to 40 beats per minute. So we're going from 140 to 40. And you could make it sound like literally you are playing this on one of those old cassette recorders and the battery has just died. So you can now affect that whole kind of tape slowdown effect in Studio One 6 without having to use a third-party plugin. There is a very good third-party plugin by Kilohertz, I think it's called, and it's called Tape Stop. And that certainly does exactly what this does, except now you don't need a third-party plugin. It's done in the time stretch algorithm. So this works beautifully for that kind of thing. So if you had multiple tracks, like you could do this for all of your tracks. If you've got multiple audio tracks, you just set them all to time stretch tape, and then you just automate the tempo at the end of your song, and you've got that tape slowdown. And it's perfect. So give that a try. Oops, didn't want to do that. I have to admit, there are some guitarists I have worked with in my life who I wish I could do that to. Like, actually do that to. But no, it would be also highly unprofessional. But there you go. That's how you do that. Bob McGraw says, can you download sound sets to a separate hard drive? Yes, you can. You just need to make sure that Studio One is pointed to that location. All right, so you're not just saving to that location, but Studio One knows that that's where your sound sets are located. How do you tell it to do that? You go Studio One, Options or Preferences, and then you go Locations, and then you go Sound Sets. So I have this set to C users, me, document Studio One, sound sets. All right. You can change this. You can add a location as well. See, I've got several. I've got an external hard drive here that does have some sound sets on it. Like sound sets that are really big, I put on this guy. Sound sets not so big. These are the ones that are default. So users, me, document Studio One, sound sets, and then users, public, documents, personas, Studio One sound sets. These are the default ones that Studio One writes, okay? Studio One automatically creates these destinations when you first install it. All right. So when you first install Studio One, these are the two sound sets locations that you will have. So on a Windows PC, this is what you'll have. On a Mac, it will be different, but that's what you'll have on a Windows PC. And then if you want to add another location, you just click on add here, and then you select the destination, what that might be. So for example, I might decide it's going to be my F drive, and then I just select folder. And then when I download sound sets, it will now create a new sound sets folder on this location. All right, so you can do that. But like I said, the thing to remember is make sure that that external drive is fast enough. If it's a mechanical drive, make sure it's 7200 RPM. But better, the best option is for it to be a solid state drive. All right. The reason being is only those two drives are fast enough to stream to and from Studio One in real time. If you have a 5400 RPM drive, like that F drive is a 5400 RPM drive, it's not going to be fast enough. If I put sound sets there, I'm going to get latency, I'm going to get crackles, I'm going to get pops. Why? Because my computer is having to work faster to get that information from the sound sets location, and I will encounter all of those problems. And it makes your computer work unnecessarily hard. You'll start to see the performance meter peaking because it's having to work extra hard. And it's not going to be a good experience of using Studio One. So that's why I recommend either internal drive that is fast enough or an external drive that is fast enough, and you'll be good to go. But you can otherwise, like I said, you can put them anywhere you want. Boris says, hello Boris, good to see you, buddy. He says, I work with a few rap artists. Could this be used for profanity edits? What, using the time stretch algorithm? No. Not really. I wouldn't recommend using that. However, you can just basically chop them out. You can locate where they are and you can chop them out and you can replace them with whatever sound you want. Personally, I like the sound of a fart or a burp or a goat sound, or you can just blank them out. You just basically find the profanity word and just cut and delete. That's the best way to get rid of profanity if you want to do a profanity edit. Just Bob says, can make it fluctuate like an album with warble on it. You can, if you want to draw in some automation. Let's delete all of this automation. Let's delete that point there. Now, if I go and get the pencil tool and grab the siny wavy thingy, I can make it fluctuate. This should be fun. That's probably too much. So let's make it like, let's make it a wee bit more subtle than that. And of course you can reset this minimum. So if I click this, let's say minimum is 138. Is 138. What the heck? 138. That's what I want. Come on, Studio One. Listen to my typing, please. Alright, and then we will delete all of that. I'm going to delete that. And then I'm going to draw in a much shallower wave. Like that. There you go. That gives you a wobble a bit. So basically now, if I just maximize this, it's only fluctuating by 2 BPM. You can watch it over here. So that's probably about as good as you want to go. Like I said, I'm totally making this up off the top of my head because I don't use the tape algorithm. I have never used it before. This is literally the first time I'm using it right in front of your faces. So I'm kind of discovering cool uses for this as we go. So awesome. Let's see, drunken guitar. Yeah, this does kind of sound a wee bit drunken. Yep, I like that. I like that. But yeah, you can make it go absolutely nuts if you really, really want to. It depends on the effect that you're wanting to get. I've never used this before, so I'm sure that there are probably thousands of different uses that you might find for all kinds of sound design circumstances where, you know, maybe for a piece of music that you create and then, you know, let's say you're working with somebody in film and, you know, they say to you, hey, this piece of music is fantastic, but in the scene we want to use it, the guy that's listening to it is a wee bit on the drunk side, or he's been infected with some kind of mysterious infection. And so we want to kind of use this song and affect it in some kind of way to make it sound like he's ill or drunk or something. You can do this. You can totally use this for this purpose. You can maybe draw slightly wider waves so you get that fluctuation over a longer period of time and create that kind of unbalanced equilibrium kind of sense. Maybe that could be a good usage of it. I like the tape stop in some instances, Boris says. Yeah, tape stop is very, very handy. I never have the need to use it because I don't really work in rap music at all. I think I've only ever had a rap artist in my studio once in 30 plus years. And that was because I needed one verse to be rapped for a song I was working on for another artist. And basically this was a song written by a female vocalist and she was singing the lead vocal on it. And it sounded great. It was fantastic. But there was just one verse that just didn't sound so good with her singing it. We weren't really sure why. And she got this friend of hers in and he rapped it. He just improvised it. And we just recorded it first take. Totally improvised. And it worked perfectly for that song. And that is the one and only time I have had a rap artist in my studio or involved on any project that I've ever worked on. So I don't really tend to be involved in the kind of music where I'd ever really use something like a tape stop or something like that. But it's fun nonetheless. Nonetheless, it is fun. So let's go back over here. We got anything else up here that I have missed? Billy Morgan is going to do an after show tonight. Okay, Billy, good. That would be great. I don't know where Mike is. Mike would normally be here. Maybe he's having a night off, which is also just fine. Just Bob says, if the track is stereo, will the warble pan left to right? No, it won't. You would need to do that with you're right. You would need to do that with the rotor or X-Trem. So you could combine X-Trem with this. Let's go back and do that just for the sheer fun of it, because I like that idea. So let's go and get the mixer window open. Let's close up a few things that we don't need. We don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that either. And we'll close the inspector because we've kind of finished with it now. And what we'll do is we'll go get X-Trem from down here. There she is. We'll just open that up a wee bit. And then we'll drop this guy in here. It is a stereo track, but let's set this to panning mode. You should be, if you're listening to this in stereo, you should find this unsettling. There you go. I'm sure everybody got totally fed up with that. Kyle says automate pan with the same sine wave. Yes, you can absolutely do that as well. So you could totally do that. If I remove that, you could just drop this arrow down here, and we could totally automate the pan with exactly the same sine wave. A bit like that. But it's not very, that's a little bit on the shallow side. So let's try and get the same speed. Let's try that. So yeah, you can totally do that. Now, another thing you could do is you could combine that not with Xtrem, but you could use the rotor, because with the rotor we can set this to a slow speed, but we can change the horn at the bottom here. So we can change the top horn, or we can change the woofer at the bottom. So we can make this slower, or we can make this faster. There you go. So a combination of any of those things. So you can either do it with Xtrem, or you can do it with automating the pan control and with rotor as well. So you can control that woofer speed, because the woofer is gonna change the speed of the low end compared to the upper frequencies. Because basically the horn at the bottom here, this woofer horn goes at a different speed to the top one. So this is the tweeter, this is the woofer. So low end, high end. And you can have these set to different speeds, even at the slow speed. So you can have the low end passing through this faster than the high end, which is what we've got here. And then when you flip it over to fast, you get a bit more bite. There you go. So rotor provides a little bit of extra warmth that you don't get with X-Trem, because X-Trem literally just takes the signal and pans it about. That's all it does. It doesn't do anything to the sound, whereas the rotor does. And especially with a stereo signal, you can widen that spread as well as much as you want. And so you get plenty of effect, and you can add the drive as well. So let's flip it on and off. So that's in slow. Turn it off. See, all that warmth is gone. There you go. I'm sure you're getting fed up with that sound, so I'll turn that off. But there you go. Rotor is extremely cool for nice kind of guitar sounds like this. And, you know, actually, I'm hearing lots of things. I'm hearing like a nice bit of New Orleans funk with this, actually, to be honest. So, you know, we could break out the Hammond organ. We could break out a nice bit of slap bass and some really sloppy, loose New Orleans funk drums. It would be awesome. Just for this little groove, it would be pretty cool. And I may do that with that later on tonight, once we've finished this show. We got 15 minutes left, folks. We got any more questions? Because I'm having way too much fun here. Damn it, I put too much milk in my tea. I'm going to scroll back up and see if we got any more questions, but I'm not seeing any. We got 18 people here at the moment. We have peaked around about 19, which is low for a Sunday for us, but it is the summer holiday. I'm totally getting that, you know, a good number of people that would normally be here are away because they're on vacation. It's cool. It's fine. It's not a big drama. We always tend to be that wee bit slower and a wee bit quieter at this time of the year. And, you know, when folks come back in August and kids start going back to school, that kind of thing, we'll hopefully pick up and we'll start to get back up to our regular numbers of around about 25, 30-ish, which would be great. Just Bob says that was a great demo. Kyle says I use a rotor to mix the milk in better. Yeah, actually, I'd thought of that. I've thought of other uses for a Leslie rotor speaker, and could you use it for, you know, making yogurt and things like that? It could be fun, I suppose. Any more questions, guys? If not, we'll just finish the show early. I would rather not finish the show early because this is far too much fun. Let's see if I've missed anything. I think I've got everything. Gardner99 is here. I didn't even see you. I'm so sorry. I would normally say hello, but I didn't see you. Sorry about that. I hope you're still here. So we've done sound sets. We've done a little bit with the tapes, the tape thing for Time Stretch. You really should go and check that out. It is way too much fun playing with that. And, you know, you can use it to get that warbling thing. And then you can combine that with rotor and with some panning automation as well. And that Carl is just a strange person. The fact that you're talking about yourself in the third person does not help. I will say that much. I'm going to see if actually anybody has emailed me a question, which they have not. But if you would like to email me a question, folks, you can certainly do that. All you need to do is go to the website at the bottom there, jonny.lipshamstudios.co.uk. And when you go there, you'll get taken to here. Here is my website. Just click on Contact Us. You'll jump down to this contact form, stick your name in here, stick your email address in there, and then ask your question here. Cool thing is, you're not limited to characters like you are in the chat. So in the chat for the show, you're kind of limited to 200 characters. So if you've got a much more in-depth thing or topic or issue or question that you want us to take a look at or explore or answer, then do this. Write it in here, hit send, and that will send me an email, which I will get in my email inbox for my website. And I will respond to you and say, hey, let's make this a subject for a show. So if you've got a question about songwriting, arranging, composing, or music theory that you want addressed, the best show for those is the Wednesday night Songwriting Simplified show. That's the place to ask those questions. If you've got something more to do with using Studio One, downloading sound sets, which we've looked at tonight, using the tape algorithm, or anything to do with Studio One, that's what this show is for. Studio One, mixing, mastering, that kind of thing, music production in general, arranging in terms of using the arranger track and things like that. That's what this show is for. So just, give me the heads up which show you think that this would be appropriate for, and I'll give you a reply back and I'll say, hey, we will do that in the next show. Or this is great. I've got questions for next week's show, but we'll do it in the week after or whatever. I'll figure out especially if I get a lot of questions this way, then I will start allocating them to different shows. So if you want to make sure that you are able to see the show that your question is answered in, then make sure you subscribe to the channel for a start. Secondly, try and get here to watch the show live. But if you're not able to make the show live, you can certainly watch the replay and see if your question is answered. And I will try and do them in a kind of logical order as these questions come in. So we can do it this way, but you can also do it in the chat. If you've got like a spontaneous question in the chat, we can do it that way, which is what we did tonight, and that's most of how it works, generally speaking. But we can do it that way via email as well, if you wish. And you can also direct message me on Facebook. I try and answer those if I can. Sometimes they go to my request box and I just don't see them. So I apologize if you've asked a question like 3 years ago and I still haven't answered it, and you're going, why hasn't he answered it? It may well have gone to, one of the filters in Facebook and I just haven't seen it. And if that's the case, I apologize. You can email me instead. Kyle's just like, that's why I had to ride the special bus then. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Bob McGraw says, fish and chips on the table. Awesome. Fish and chips is one of the best ever invented meals. So definitely. Down in England, they call it fish and chips. Here we call it a fish supper because chips is kind of all part of it. So we call it fish supper. If you have sausage, it'd be a sausage supper. If you have haggis, it would be a haggis supper. But it's just like, it's all encompassing. That's what we call it up here in Scotland. So if you're ever in Scotland and, you're in a chippy and you say, hey, can I have fish and chips, please? They'll go, what? Or they might go, what? And that's when you just say, hey, can I have a fish supper, please? And that's it. They know exactly what you're talking about. Down in England, not a problem because they don't call it that there. So fish and chips, awesome. The best fish and chips I ever had was in a pub in Essex, actually, and down in just kind of outside of London. And the fish was like this big. It was massive, and it was beer battered in their in the beer that they make in their microbrewery. And massive plate of chips as well. The whole thing, it was possibly the most expensive fish and chips I have ever had, but it was the best fish and chips I ever had. And it's just like, that was 15 years ago, and I'm still talking about it to this day because it's the best I've ever experienced. And it's got to have salt, and it's got to have malt vinegar on it. Definitely. Now, depending on where you're from in Scotland, you'll either be offered salt and vinegar or salt and sauce. So here in Edinburgh and this on the east coast of Scotland, you'll be offered salt and sauce. I mean, you can get vinegar as well, but they'll just say, hey, do you want salt and sauce? What's salt and sauce? The sauce is a special kind of chip sauce. It's a blend of kind of a brown sauce, a Worcestershire sauce, and vinegar. So it's like a special chip sauce is what they call it. But over in Glasgow, salt and vinegar. They don't do salt and sauce, salt and vinegar. So if you're ever coming to Scotland, these are things that are essential for being able to navigate the complexities of going to a chippy in Scotland. But yeah, I don't like the chip sauce. It's got to be malt vinegar. Absolutely. And plenty of it, because I like my fish and my chips to have that bite that you get from the vinegar. All right, so we've got 6 minutes to go, and I've managed to talk about fish and chips instead of talking music. I blame Kyle. I think it's entirely Kyle's fault, to be honest. But Bob McGraw started it with talking about fish and chips, so I blame you guys. But that's fish and chips in Scotland. So Rich Cresswell, if you're here, I hope you're taking note, because I know you're coming up very soon. So. And in actual fact, Rich, you and I need to have a wee chat offline about your visit to Scotland so that I know exactly what you're going to be doing and so that we can actually hook up. That would be cool. There you go. I've had salt and sauce, nae bad in the north. They offer red salt battered chips in the Midlands. There you go. I didn't know that about the Midlands. So there you go. You're up on the 14th. Okay. Rich, get with me and we'll talk your itinerary so that I know kind of what you're going to be doing and when you're coming over to my place. And the plan, folks, is, just so that you know, is I think Rich and I are going to do a special episode of Songwriting Simplified. I think that's the plan anyway. If not, Rich, I'm kind of dropping you in it. But yeah, it would be cool if we could do a special Songwriting Simplified show with me and Rich right here in the same room. That would be fecking epic. And I didn't swear. So yeah, so that would be great. If we can actually make that happen. There you go. Rich is like, yes, we are indeed. Yes, because we have talked about it. And you know, I kind of forget that we've talked about these things. So yeah, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you're subscribed if you would like to be reminded about that. That's going to be cool because Rich is a composer and he writes music for video games, for TV, for film. So we can talk composition, and I've done a little bit of film composing as well, except I only write for student films for the university, for Napier University, for their film course. And I do that for free. I don't charge the students for that because, they got small budgets. And it's great fun. I love doing it. And I do it purely for pleasure. And I learn a lot about the process of writing music to picture. So there you go. All right, we'll call it a night there, actually. We've got like 3 minutes to go, but we'll call it a night. And Rich says he's going to take us out for supper. That would be awesome, Rich. Can he wait? Can he wait to have you up here? It's going to be epic. All right, so we'll call it a night there. So, Billy, if you're on standby, mate, get that link for the after show. I'm going to be there for a wee while. I'm not going to be there for very long because I am bushed. I've had a very long day and I did not have the best night's sleep last night for a variety of reasons. So, there we go. He's posted the link. So, if you want to come join Billy and myself over there, then please do come on over. I'll only be there for a wee bit, But yeah, it'd be cool to kind of gather for a wee while. All right, folks, I will see you all on Wednesday for Songwriting Simplified. It's going to be a cool show next week. So make sure you're here. It'd be great. I wish everybody a very, very, I can't speak. What is wrong with me? I'm trying to do too many things at once. I hope everybody has a fantastic evening and a fantastic start to your week. And I'll see you back here on Wednesday for Songwriting Simplified. Until then, folks, a very good night. Good night. Oh, I've got that on solo still. Idiot.